My coworker stormed into my office and snapped, "I deserve that promotion more than you, so you must step down or else." When I refused, he deleted my project files and smirked, "Now you have no choice." My boss walked in holding a backup drive and said, "Actually, we've been tracking who really contributes around here. I work in a mid-sized software company in New York. It's one of those companies that's just small enough where everyone knows each other but big enough that you don't know what half the people are doing on any given day. I'd been there about 5 years when this happened. I started off as a junior developer and worked my way up. So, I got promoted. This was a big deal for me. The company had been pushing this new client management platform project that had huge implications for the company's future. Long story short, I was offered the position to lead the whole thing, project manager, with a team of around 12 people reporting to me. It was the biggest step up in my career, and I was proud. But not everyone was happy about it. Enter Daniel. Daniel had been with the company longer than I had. He was one of those senior devs who knew a lot and wasn't shy about it. For years he'd been coasting on the respect he'd earned early in his career. He was good, technically. But he wasn't exactly leadership material. Poor communicator, didn't work well with others, easily irritated, took shortcuts. The usual. When I got promoted, he didn't say congratulations. Didn't even pretend. First meeting I led, he barely looked at me, only spoke when spoken to. At first I just chalked it up to ego, and I left it alone. Then things got weird. In the first few weeks, things seemed fine. But then, files started going missing from our shared drive. Some of our automated tests started failing for no clear reason. Team members said they were getting mixed instructions, or that I had changed decisions, which I hadn't. Tasks were getting reassigned without my input. People were being told I approved changes I hadn't even seen. At first I thought it was just miscommunication. Maybe too many people on too many systems. So I sat everyone down, went over how we were going to track everything, tickets, version control, communication logs. Then it got worse. I noticed that every time something went wrong, Daniel was somehow connected to it. His name kept popping up on commits that weren't assigned to him. He was pushing code changes in the middle of the night. I even caught him in the office after hours once, sitting at his desk, eyes glued to the screen. He looked surprised to see me. But I still didn't confront him. Not yet. I didn't have solid proof, and if I was wrong, I'd look paranoid and ruin team morale. So I documented everything. I started taking screenshots, backing up emails, and keeping notes on every incident. I didn't say anything to my boss yet, I wanted to be absolutely sure. Then the bomb dropped. One morning, I came into the office and tried to open our primary project file. It was gone. Gone from the drive. Gone from the backup. All 3 copies we kept, main server, cloud, and local dev backup, were empty. At first, I thought maybe it was a sync error. But within minutes, the team realized what happened. Someone had deleted everything. And not just deleted, it was done in a way that bypassed our safeguards. Logs had been cleared, directories wiped, and it was all done from my account. Except I hadn't done it. Cue Daniel. About an hour later, as I was sitting at my desk trying to hold back a full-blown panic attack, Daniel walks into my office. Doesn't knock. Doesn't say hello. He just says, "I deserve that promotion more than you." I stared at him. He continued, "You're not qualified to lead this. You were handed this because you suck up to management." I told him to leave. I didn't even want to engage. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "You're going to step down. Or else." I stood up and asked what he meant. He didn't answer. He just smirked, turned around, and left. And then I knew. I didn't need proof anymore. I knew it was him. But I didn't say anything yet. Instead, I went to our internal systems guy, Raj. He's a quiet genius, keeps to himself, but he and I had always gotten along. I asked him if he had access to the versioning logs outside the team's scope. He looked at me like he already knew why I was asking. Then he handed me a drive. "This might help," he said. Turns out, the company had been running shadow backups and usage audits for a few of our higher priority projects. The higher-ups didn't advertise it to avoid paranoia, but they needed to make sure sensitive client work wasn't getting lost or tampered with. Every time someone accessed a core file, it got logged and copied into a secure internal mirror. Daniel hadn't known about that. Raj didn't have permission to take action on it, but he suggested I take it straight to our boss, Mr. Reynolds. I asked him to come with me. We both went upstairs, knocked on Mr. Reynolds' door, and walked in. I handed him the drive. Mr. Reynolds is not a loud man. He's one of those quiet, thoughtful types who only talks when he has something important to say. He took the drive, plugged it in, and started scrolling. Within a few minutes, his face changed. He didn't say anything to us. He just nodded and said, "Thank you. I'll handle it." Later that afternoon, while I was still trying to piece together our now shattered project plan, Daniel came back into my office. He looked too calm. "You think you can pin this on me?" he said. "You can't prove anything. You lost. They'll have no choice but to give the project to someone who can actually manage it." I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. That's when Mr. Reynolds walked in, holding that same backup drive. He looked at Daniel and said calmly, "Actually, we've been tracking who really contributes around here." Daniel went pale. Then Mr. Reynolds said, "You need to come with me. That's where I'll stop for now." What happened after that? It got even messier. I'll post the rest soon if people are interested. Let me know. So, Daniel gets called out by our boss, Mr. Reynolds. Right there, in my office. He looks like someone just pulled the ground out from under him. That calm, smug attitude. Gone. He follows Reynolds out without saying another word. The rest of that day, everything feels tense. People are whispering, avoiding eye contact. My team is confused but not surprised. Some even suspected Daniel had been messing with the files, but no one expected it to go that far. By the end of the day, I get a message from HR. They're launching an internal investigation. I'm told to keep working like normal, not to talk about it with anyone on the team, and to let them handle communication. It's frustrating, because my team deserves to know the truth, but I follow orders. That night, I go home and don't sleep. I just sit on the couch, staring at the ceiling. I wasn't just angry, I was embarrassed. I had trusted Daniel, even respected him once. I thought we were coworkers working toward the same goal. I was wrong. But here's the twist. Daniel didn't go quietly. The next day, I walk into the office. And something's off. People are looking at me differently. Not like yesterday, today it's worse. Avoiding eye contact. Whispering. Some just flat out ignore me. I try brushing it off, tell myself it's just nerves after the investigation announcement. Then I check my email. There's a message sitting in my inbox. No subject line. No name. Just a PDF attachment. I open it. My heart sinks. It's a compilation of emails. Screenshots. Messages. Fake ones. They were made to look like I had been badmouthing my team, taking credit for their work, blaming them when things went wrong. Some even looked like I was manipulating data to make myself look better. It was a hit piece. And it was good. The layout, the way the messages were written, it was believable if you didn't know better. My hands were shaking. I couldn't believe it. He was trying to turn the team against me. If he couldn't steal the project, he'd destroy my reputation. And it worked. I found out later that he'd been sending that document to people in the company. Quietly. Secretly. A few junior team members were already questioning me, saying things like, "Hey, did you really say this about Sarah?" Or, "I thought we were all working together." The damage was starting. I went straight to HR. They brought me into a conference room, told me to sit tight while they reviewed the new information. I handed them the fake document and told them what I suspected, that Daniel was behind it. I explained how he threatened me. How he deleted the project files. How he tried to force me to step down. They listened, took notes. But I could tell, they weren't sure who to believe. Daniel was smart. He didn't leave fingerprints. And I didn't have enough proof that he sent it around. At the end of the meeting, they said, "We're not making any decisions yet. We're expanding the investigation." So now I wasn't just a victim, I was being investigated too. That week was the worst. Every day, I came in feeling like a ghost. People were polite, but cold. The team barely spoke to me unless it was work-related. And Daniel? Oh, he wasn't in the office, but his presence lingered. Like a shadow. Then things got even darker. One morning, I wake up and find a message on my personal phone. No name. Just a number I don't recognize. It said, "You think this is over? I'm just getting started." My stomach dropped. I knew who it was. Daniel had crossed a line. It wasn't just about work anymore. It was personal. I took the message to HR. They contacted legal. A company phone trace found out the number was a burner. No way to track it. But I could tell, HR was finally starting to understand the depth of this. They said they were bringing in digital forensics. Meanwhile, I kept working. Kept delivering results. Quietly picked up the broken pieces of the project and tried to stay focused. Then, 1 week later, something unbelievable happened. Raj, the systems guy, came to my office again. He looked dead serious. "I think you should see this," he said. He handed me a printout. It was an access log. It showed Daniel had logged into our internal HR portal, weeks before this all happened. Accessed personal performance reviews. Mine. Others. Even downloaded them. He wasn't just sabotaging the project. He'd been digging into people's records. Prepping for this. It was more than revenge, it was planned. I looked at Raj. "Does HR know?" He shook his head. "Not yet. I wanted you to have it first." I thanked him, took the file, and walked straight to Mr. Reynolds' office. He took one look at it and said, "Close the door." And that, friends, is where things really start to unravel. If you want the next part, let me know. It gets uglier. So I hand the access logs to Mr. Reynolds. He studies them silently. His eyes narrow as he reads. Then, without a word, he picks up the phone and dials someone, HR, I assume, and says, "We need to meet. Now." He tells me to stay. A few minutes later, 2 HR managers show up, Angela and Mark. Both of them walk in looking tense. Mr. Reynolds shows them the printout. They read it and freeze. Angela says, "We didn't authorize this level of access." Reynolds looks at me and then back at them. Find out how he got it. They leave the room without saying much else. Then Reynolds leans forward and says something I didn't expect. "You're not the only one he's targeted." I blinked. "What?" Reynolds nods slowly. "This is bigger than your project. There were 2 other managers last year who mysteriously stepped down. One left the company entirely. One took a demotion. I remember both. Good people. No scandals. No real explanations, either. Just, left. We're starting to think Daniel might have had something to do with it," he says. It hit me like a truck. This wasn't Daniel just losing it because of my promotion. He had done this before. Quietly. Carefully. And likely got away with it. He was playing a long game. One I didn't even know I was in. I asked, why wasn't he investigated back then? Reynolds sighed. Nothing was ever proven. Just odd circumstances. And Daniel had a spotless record, on paper. But now, with this. He tapped the access log. This changes things. So now the company's legal and digital forensics teams are both involved. They start going through Daniel's access history, internal messages, and security camera logs. I'm told to sit tight, but also keep working like nothing's going on. Yeah. Fun. I go back to my team, but the air is different. They're still distant. I can tell the rumors are spreading faster than the truth. I pull a few of them aside, people I trust, and tell them the truth, that Daniel was behind the sabotage, that HR is investigating everything, and that I have nothing to hide. Some believe me. Others just nod politely. The damage Daniel caused wasn't just technical, it was psychological. He made people doubt me. Then something else happens. A junior dev on my team, Ari, comes to me after hours. Says he wants to talk. We sit down in the break room. He's nervous. I think I helped Daniel, he says. I pause. What do you mean? He explains, a few months ago, Daniel asked him for help troubleshooting some access permission issues. Ari didn't think twice, he just followed Daniel's instructions. Turns out, he unknowingly helped Daniel bypass internal safeguards. Basically gave him a back door into systems he wasn't supposed to access. I didn't know what he was doing, Ari says. I swear. I thought he was just fixing something. I believe him. Ari's young, eager to help, and probably didn't question why a senior dev needed his access credentials. I told him to document everything and take it straight to HR. He did. That piece of info was critical. It confirmed how Daniel gained access to internal systems without raising red flags. It also proved someone else knew, even accidentally. The next morning, another twist hits. Someone had sent an anonymous email to the clients. Not all of them, just 2 major ones involved in the new platform we were building. The message claimed the project was in shambles, that internal sabotage had occurred, and that the manager, me, was under investigation for misconduct. No names. But the tone was clear, trying to shake their confidence. The fallout? Client meetings were called. I had to sit in and explain that we were still on track, that the team was focused, and that the company was handling some internal matters. The clients didn't look angry. They looked nervous. And that's dangerous. Companies can survive internal drama, but if clients lose faith, contracts disappear. Fast. Mr. Reynolds was livid. Legal opened a second investigation, this time into external communications. The IT team started scanning outgoing emails, burner account usage, IP logs, everything. Then came the next unexpected twist. An email traced to Daniel's personal email account was found, but not sent by Daniel. Someone had used his account to send messages to a contact at a competitor firm. Not just any competitor, a direct rival bidding for similar projects. The messages included complaints about the company, internal frustrations, even vague offers to jump ship. But here's the part that blew everyone's mind, the messages were real. They were from 6 months ago. They were written in Daniel's writing style. Except Daniel had reported his account hacked 6 months ago, after suspicious activity showed up in his inbox. At the time, IT reset his credentials and moved on. But now it looked different. It looked like maybe, just maybe, someone had planted that hacked story. And if that was faked, what else was? Was it possible Daniel wasn't acting alone? Or, worse, was someone else pulling strings behind the scenes? At this point, everything started shifting. It wasn't just about me and Daniel anymore. It was about something deeper in the company. A pattern. A strategy. One that may have been in play for much longer than anyone realized. And I wasn't sure who I could trust. I was leading a team. Fighting rumors. Being investigated. Trying to finish a massive project. And now I was wondering if someone else inside the company had been helping Daniel. Or using him. 2 weeks after the fake emails, the client damage, and the deep dive investigation, the office was silent in a way I'd never heard before. People were still working. Phones still rang. Keyboards still clicked. But the tension? It was thick. You could feel it. That morning, I was called to a meeting, an all-hands confidential review, they called it. I knew what that meant. The truth was finally coming out. I walked into the boardroom and found it already packed. HR, legal, IT, Mr. Reynolds, some directors, and even Ari, Raj, and a few other staff members. A screen was set up at the front. A chair was left open for me at the table. Everyone else was already seated. And then, Daniel walked in. Still calm. Still pretending to be untouchable. He sat directly across from me. And then the meeting began. Mark from HR started talking, walking everyone through a timeline, the sabotage, the deleted files, the fake emails, the burner messages, the client leak. Each one now backed by logs, IPs, system access records, and testimony. He presented emails Daniel had sent to a competitor, disguised as a hacked account. Then the access logs Daniel used to download other managers' HR files. Then the PDF designed to ruin my reputation. As each piece landed, I watched Daniel. At first, he sat motionless. Then he started fidgeting. His jaw clenched. His fingers tapped the table. But what broke him wasn't the evidence. It was when Ari stood up and said, voice shaking, "You used me. I trusted you. You made me part of this without me even knowing." Raj stood next and said, "I covered for you once. Years ago. I didn't know what you were doing, and I've regretted it since." Finally, Angela from HR looked him in the eye and said, "Why did you do all this?" And that's when it cracked. Daniel stood up. His chair scraped loudly against the floor. His voice was louder than it had ever been in our office. "They gave him everything," he said, pointing at me. "I built this system. I wrote the core framework 3 years ago. I worked weekends. I cleaned up everyone else's mess. And they gave him the project because he plays it safe and smiles in meetings." Mr. Reynolds interrupted, calm but firm. "You didn't lose the promotion because you weren't good, Daniel. You lost it because you couldn't lead. This job isn't just about code." Daniel's voice broke. "I gave this company everything. And all I got was ignored. Passed over. Replaced. And then he looked at me. You should have stepped down." And in that moment, I felt something I didn't expect. Not anger. Not victory. But sadness. For the first time, I saw him not as a villain, but as a man who had wrapped his whole identity around a job title. And when he lost that, he lost himself. Reynolds spoke quietly. You need to leave now, Daniel. Security escorted him out. He didn't fight it. He just looked at the floor and walked away. The room stayed silent for a full minute after the door closed. No one moved. Then people began shifting in their seats. Some looked relieved. Others, uncomfortable. I walked out quietly. So did Ari and Raj. In the hallway, Ari said, I'm sorry. For what I did. For believing him, even for a moment. I nodded. It's okay. You didn't know. Raj just placed a hand on my shoulder. You handled this better than most would. But inside, I felt tired. Not just physically. Just, worn down. The fallout wasn't over. Over the next few days, HR released a formal report to the company. Daniel had been terminated. His behavior was officially classified as malicious and manipulative. And anyone who had been affected, especially on my team, was offered private HR sessions to talk through it. The clients? We kept them. Barely. I had to personally walk through everything with them, show them that the project was stable again. Some of them stayed because of my honesty. Others, because they believed in the product. The team slowly came back together. Not immediately, but bit by bit. Some apologized. Others just started acting normal again, quietly acknowledging they'd been misled. But trust? That took longer. I still lead the project. It launched 3 months later, on time. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. And for the first time, our client satisfaction scores actually climbed. Daniel? I don't know where he went. I heard through a recruiter he tried applying to a few places, but the reference checks didn't go well. I don't take any joy in that. He was talented. Brilliant, even. But in the end, he thought the world owed him something. And when it didn't give it to him the way he wanted, he decided to burn everything down. That's the part I'll never understand. If he had just talked to me. If he had just asked for a bigger role, we could have worked something out. I would have trusted him. But he chose destruction over growth. And that's a lesson I'll carry with me. Because what this taught me, more than anything, is that leadership isn't about titles or being right. It's about how you carry yourself when things fall apart. It's about the people who show up when no one's watching. I'm still healing from it. Still building. Still watching my back a little more than I used to. But I'm stronger now. Not because I won. But because I didn't quit.